Alright, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. And today we are in the Monster Manual, Trace Point 5. And we are on the Orc. So, according to the description of the Orcs, they are primitive-looking human with gray skin and coarse hair, stooped posture, low forehead, and pig-like face with prominent lower canines. But almost everything we look at goes away from that, and one of those examples is Sven's art for Dungeon Swag, our miniatures that we sell. This is one of our Orcs. Now, I printed this in 32mm. I forgot to shrink it down to 28mm, but I don't have time to go print it again. So we're gonna do this. So we could do this really fast with speed paints. There'd be no question about that. But I don't know if that's the route I want to take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this dark blue-gray. I'm going to get my brush damp. And I'm going to start painting flesh. Now, I would assume that orcs, like dogs or humans or anybody else, don't all look the same and don't have the exact same skin tone. For example, my skin's very dark. My wife's skin is very pale. And I would assume also, since there's descriptions of orcs being gray, there's descriptions of orcs being green, it is likely that based off of where they evolved and where they hail from, there's probably some cultural differences and some skin color differences, and who knows what else. We know that as human beings, we tend to be very diverse, and depending on where we hail from in the world, or where we did the majority of our evolution, we can look so different. So I would say with orcs it is likely the same. So many of my orcs are green, but I have brown ones, I have tan ones, and I don't have any gray ones. And even though this guy is really big, much larger than any of my other orcs, I think that gray can work in our favor here. Though I probably wouldn't put this guy on the shelf with my other minis because his base is off size, because he is 32mm and he's pretty big and chunky. So for something like this guy, I would pull him out as a use for like some kind of commander or champion of orcs. I wouldn't pull him out in a regular orc encounter because he's just so. I mean, he's almost as big as a tiny ogre, really. I do like that skin tone like that, really. Okay. So now I'm going to hit that with the +2 hotter gun of burning. And I'm going to get a dark brown and do a lot of work on bases, the base, and some of his fur sections and clothing and stuff. So on his clothing, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to use my burnt umber here. This is like a craft paint from, well, all the paint I'm using right now is, so far up to this point, is craft paint from Walmart, and it's called Apple Barrel. If you've been here before, you know I use this a lot. I usually don't use it on Dungeon Swag minis, but I get to these points where I feel like I'm using too much of the expensive stuff that people might not have access to, and then I feel like I got to go back and show you, like, hey, you don't have to have a bunch of money. You can throw paint down on a miniature and you can get something tabletop ready for cheap. You can do that. It's perfectly acceptable. But there's a lot of HeroClix that you can do an easy convert with. There's a couple Hulks that are smaller. There's a couple decent Sabertooths. I mean, there are miniatures that you can convert out and you can get a decent orc. But again, it's hard for me to make a competitor for free or cheap of a product that I sell for a really good price. So, like, it's Orctober. The monthly box this month is Orcs. If you go to the website right now and buy the mystery box, the loot crate box, it's going to have orcs in it. And you'll be able to nicely fill out your tabletop army with orcs. And to get a decent handful of miniatures for a really good price, thick, chunky, strong-looking orcs. This guy's not one of this year's models. He's from last year, I think, or the year before. But every year we release different orcs. So whenever your orc army comes, you're not getting doubles, you know. Each time we do it, it's a whole new set. Which is, you know, not just for you. It's for our benefit, too, because we collect miniatures. The reason we started Dungeon Swag was, one, because there was just, miniatures were too expensive. Like, for people to have good quality miniatures on their table, $5-6 a pop was just too much for a pre-paint. Sometimes more, depending, even if you get good deals. And for something this high quality, well, you'd either have to go to like darkswordminiatures.com, which, don't get me wrong, their minis are great, or you'd have to maybe buy some Games Workshop stuff. And that's just so pricey. So what we came up with was a concept where we could print miniatures, and we've had to change how we do business several times. We've had to buy more and more expensive resin to get the best quality so that the stuff's resilient and it, you know, is still high quality prints. I printed this on my 8K printer, but this is not good resin. This is like junk resin. The resin we send to you is like flexible and sturdy, and it'll last. And there's a discount code if you get that box for 25% in the description of this video. And if you're not sure if you want to try our miniatures out, if you're not sure you want to spend the money, if you go on our Discord, we actually have a discount code there where you can get a miniature, shipping and everything included, completely for free, because we believe in our product and we're willing to take that financial hit. I say we, it's you know, a Scorbic and I run this business out of our basements pretty much. This is not a corporation. We're just like two dudes. We're married, we have kids, we love our wives and our families, we have real jobs, and this is like a side thing that we do. But we're not, you know, you're not giving your money to Games Workshop. So feel free to try one of our free miniatures out and see if you like them before you spend your money. We're okay with that. We believe in our product. We believe they're good. We believe that they're high quality, they're sturdy, and they're inexpensive. I seriously challenge anyone to really beat our prices and match our quality both. Shipping included, it's $16.99 a month, I believe. I had to talk to a Scorbic. I'm not sure. I know it does vary from time to time, but it's usually $16.99 a month. So it's based off of what it costs us to do a flat rate shipping of the box, how much resin we use, and enough to cover the expenses of the artist that does these miniatures for us. And I guarantee you, you can buy cheap $25 bottles of resin and print these at home yourself if you own the sculpts. I know that. But if you're going to put the money in and the time in that we do to get this stuff done right, and to make sure it's good, and to make sure that every print that gets sent out is beautiful, well, good luck. Because a lot of companies just don't care. You know, and if we send something out bad or something gets past us, I guarantee you we'll replace it, because we want people to have nice stuff. We don't want people to be screwed over. And I guess that's because we're just regular people, you know, and we're not a big business. And one bad word about us, well, that could be devastating, right? it could really ruin what we've been working on for a few years here. Now, Scorbic and I became good friends on the internet. We didn't meet in real life till we'd been friends for quite a while online. And what happened was we were playing a video game, and I had a town, and he lived in the town next door. And there was this goofy dude in my town, and he was building a highway next to our town, and we didn't want a highway there. So the goofy dude in my town jumps on the back of a Scorbic's cart in this game and starts trolling him. But Scorbic's such a nice guy that he's just kind to him. Answers his questions, offers him some water in-game, shit like that. You know, just real, like, decent dude stuff. And then we became friends with him. And then he moved to our town. And then he became the assistant mayor of our town, and then the co-mayor of our town. And then from that point forward, everything we did together. And we played many video games over the years together. And he would come down and visit me. You know, we'd have Duma Palooza on my birthday and invite people that played games with us to come visit and stuff. He came down, and then after he had got married, because he eventually got married too, and we took our children up to meet his children and his wife, and it was so nice. And I knew they were, you know, as soon as he was with her and they had children, it was like she was just part of it too. She was part of our family. He doesn't watch my videos, so I can say stuff like this, but she's been just phenomenal. His wife is extremely intelligent. And I will not say she's as beautiful as Mrs. Doom, because Mrs. Doom is my wife. And obviously she's the most beautiful woman on earth because she married me. But his wife is smart and funny and beautiful and educated and genuinely interesting to speak to. And again, he doesn't watch the videos. So I can talk her up and say nice stuff. And it won't get back to her. I don't think any of you guys that watch me know a Scorbic. And I don't think any of the people that play with video games with us watch my videos because they're all tired of hearing about D&D. Or at least you'd think they'd be by now. Alright. I think we got a good base coat of browns there going on. So now I'm going to get my favorite color on earth. Pavement. There's stuff all over my screen from work today. I really got to get some alcohol or something to clean my screen off. Oh, I missed a spot with that brown. I have to come back. It's okay. We can always come back. I'm going to get a larger brush for this part. So for this part, I'm going to do this giant rock that he's on down here. And I'm not going to hit every single spot on it because I don't see the need. But I'm going to get some good coverage on it for sure. I want to tell everybody, Mrs. Doom. I'll tell you what, there's been times where I just wish I could throw her off a bridge. But there are days where she just blows my mind. It makes my heart just rise up in my chest and choke me. We've been together for many, many years because I'm an old man. She is something else. If it wasn't for Mrs. Doom, a lot of this channel wouldn't even be possible. Because when I work long hours and stuff, Mrs. Doom is the one who stops and gets me clear code or Q-tips or anything that I need, really. She's just been super supportive of the channel. Every time I finish a miniature and come upstairs, she comes charging over to see how it looks and to tell me how good or bad it is. She always played D&D before we switched to Tomorrow Comes Doom. Now she plays that with us. But she always played D&D for the whole time we dated and long into our marriage until, like I said, we switched to Tomorrow Comes Doom. And she's play tested all 3 versions of Tomorrow Comes Doom with us and given good feedback and helped me figure stuff out on the systems. And even though she never understands all the rules of any game she plays, because she just likes to play and not get into all that, She has just been my teammate and partner. It's pretty phenomenal that I've been that lucky to find someone that gets interested in the things that I like and can kind of help facilitate my interests and hobbies because she likes it too. And that, my friends, is just a phenomenal benefit to my state of being. Because if you tried to do like a dungeons or not, well, she's helpful with Dungeons Wag too. She loves it when we pick miniatures. She likes to watch because she likes to help pick them and give her input. But whenever I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm just babbling. I'm trying to talk because we watched one of my videos, Mrs. Doom and I, and it is quiet and boring. And so I'm trying to talk more. I don't have anything interesting to say. All right, now let's get a small, oh, dropped it. Let's get a medium gray and a slightly lighter gray. Where's that elephant gray at? There we go, elephant gray. I don't know too many elephants. So I'm just getting a tiny dab of that. Some of that. And I'm going to mix a color. And I'm going to start picking up some of that musculature along his back and shoulders, top of his head, up along his pecs, just a little bit on the knee. Then I'm going to hit his hands. And then on all this brown, I'm just going to kind of in some spots hit it. And I say in some spots because I'm not base coating it. I'm just giving it some variation tones for the next layers. I'm going to hit some of this log and stuff too. And then we'll kind of separate all this stuff and get it where we want it later. I'm hitting that rock. Get some of that texture that's on there, make it pop. And I need a little more paint for this. So these bases are not like something we send out in our standard monthly box. That's why this miniature wouldn't have made the cut. We put ones that you can put on flat base for the most part, okay? And what happens is when you want a base like this, some of our one-off miniatures, he offers them on the store with the specialty base for like $1 extra or whatever it costs, like 50 cents ever. I don't know what it costs. But it does cost a lot more in resin to print one of these bases than the flat bases, the flat clear bases that we usually give out. And the reason we switched to flat clear bases, even though I don't personally like them, is because we had a lot of feedback that said that people prefer to use flat clear bases. They can see their terrain and stuff underneath their miniatures with. And so, you know, we're a business and we switched out to those bases, though my preference is like regular round bases, sometimes with like a rim of some sort that's like decorative, but that's what we used to have. Ascorbic actually made us a really nice custom base that we used for a long time. So now I'm going to get a medium brown. This is called melted chocolate. I'm going to hit this tree trunk with it. And there's already a kind of a two-tone basis on this tree trunk. So what I'm doing is I'm not hitting every square inch of it, except for this lower part. And I'm just kind of grabbing it in some spots. And then I'm going to do his kilt thing with this too, but I'm not hitting it real well. I'm just kind of dragging it along and creating a different tone that we can work with. Now, I know if I would have waited a few days, Ascorbic was going to mail me the Orctober box, which is, I'm going to do these armbands, which is Orcs. It's the Orctober box. But I'm on working the monster manual, so I just took one that I already had on my computer downloaded, and I threw it in the printer. at 32 millimeter. Again, our miniatures come at 28 millimeter when you buy them, but the artist does them in 32 and we have to shrink them down. And Scorbic and I are not as dumb as I smell, and we were able to work together and come up with a good method of shrinking them. So those swords look like they're made out of stone to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, this is not a craft paint because I don't want to mix a paint right now. I'm already 20 minutes in, I don't want to mix a color. So this is called Darkstone. It's by Army Painter, and this is a phenomenal color. I did not clean out my brush, I know. But I'm going to come up here. I'm going to paint these blades. And I'm not going to do a perfect job, okay? I'm not going to hit every single spot exactly perfect. There's kind of a grimdark effect you get when you play silly games with how you're going to paint. There's some natural variation that works out well. So you can take advantage of that on minis like this that have a ton of detail and some surface area. It's a good mix, and you can play those games. On some minis, especially on some of the ones I craft where they don't have an enormous amount of detail, you can't play silly games. You got to kind of stick with the program of how they're designed. Now there are wraps on these blades, and I have decided that I'm going to paint this color and then come back and lighten those up in a moment. Okay, now I'm just going to get that same color since I already have it out. And I'm going to do some work around the base with it just to change some tones. Create some darker areas in those recesses since that is a pretty dark paint. And then I think I'm going to I'm just going to brush some of the top of these boots with that. I'm not going to paint them that color. I'm just going to drag some of that in there to create variation. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to hit the back of the boots a little bit because they're too light. We're starting to get there. Now, before I get too invested in the base, I'm going to get black paint and go around that. Now, I said you can get a free mini, and that is true. It doesn't cost you a dime. We don't need your credit card information or anything. On the website, there's a thing that says free mini, and it's like $1 or $2. But when you put in the discount code, it goes down to no bucks, and it has fill out your information to get it delivered and stuff. But there is a caveat with that. We would like you to come to the Discord after you receive the mini and show us your progress. Show us you painted it, or show us that it's done, or you're in the works. Show us the mini. Show the other people on the Discord what you've done with it. And the reason for that is because it does cost us money to do that, to give you a mini for free. That's non-negotiable. It costs us money. But we would like you to take it and enjoy it, but we'd like you to share what you did. How good or how bad or how different or how unique. Anything. We just want to see what you did with what we gave you for free to kind of reward us. So when I say it's free, financially it's free, but we really would like to see what you do with it. A lot of people, we get free minis and they never show us what they've done with it. And we're just like, really? Come on, guys. We're trying here. We just want to see what you're up to. This color's called Skeleton Bone. And it's almost exactly the same as Khaki by Apple Barrel. see. I told you guys about how I met a Scorbic and how he became like my brother in the world and one of my closest friends. Let's see, who else interesting have I met? Oh, just a Scorbic. I don't know anybody else good. I met Robert England once, the guy who plays Freddy Krueger. I met Samuel L. Jackson. He bought me lunch. That was pretty cool. I met, who else? I've met people. I've been around. I've seen some, I'm old. I've seen some cool stuff. Let's see, I met President George W. Bush like 3 times. He came to speak at bases and stuff. I was at when I was in the military. And he was one of those dudes that like, he would stand outside in a 3-piece suit all day. Because even though they like always made him look doofy on the news and stuff, he was like a pretty regular dude. I don't even think that guy wanted to be president, man. And he was president at a time that was like not ideal on top of it. With like, 9/11 and all that. So, yeah, he just, I don't know, he seemed like a pretty regular dude to me. He didn't seem like the way they portrayed him at all. But he's the kind of dude that would sit out in a 3-piece suit in Georgia weather and shake hands with everybody that wanted to meet him. And if you were a soldier or a family member and you wanted to shake his hand, he would sit out in 100-degree weather and roast for you in a 3-piece. That's how he came across to me. I don't know if you guys had a different experience with the dude, but I thought he was pretty stand-up. Again, I don't think that dude wanted to be president. I think that he was like, kind of like expected to become president. So I'm going back to that elephant color that I used earlier, that elephant gray. And I'm going to come in, I'm just going to do a little touch on his knuckles and stuff. See if I can make this a little more prevalent. And then I'm just going to tap a couple of the high spots on him. Just to... I'm going to hit the top of his head a little bit. He looks pretty good. Now we're going to do that beard. And we're going to do some metallics. We'll do the metallics first. I'm going to get this lighter color of mummy robes. It's an off-white. We're going to do several things with this. We're going to do his eyes with this. We're going to do his teeth with this. And we're going to do some work on the bones with this. So let's start with the bones. There we go. Just a little bit of brightness on there. A little bit there. We're going to hit his teeth. Then we're going to get these wraps a little bit with that. All right, so for those swords, I'm going to get that gray and this brown. A little bit of that dark stone. Something like that. I'm going to raise out that brush. I'm going to grab this bigger brush and I'm going to collect that up. Just like this. I'm going to drag that along. And then so closer to the handle, I'm going to go a little thick with it. Then as I go up, I'm going to get a little rougher with it. Okay? Then I'm going to tip the tips. Then I'm going to lighten that up a little bit with that skeleton bone color. A little bit more of that gray. Okay? I'm going to touch just a little bit of the tops. Okay. Now I didn't do anything with his belt, and there's some metallics on his boots, and I didn't do his eyes yet. So we have that white off-white. I'm getting a fractional brush. I'm going to get it real, just damp with that tip. I'm going to get a real tiny dab and get in there and hit those eyes. And remember, if you overpaint eyes, just come around and outline them with a different gray or a different shade close to what you're working with, and then they look okay. I'm not doing pupils on this dude. I am licking paint out of my brush though. Okay, we're about ready to call this guy. We got a couple little things to do. We got to do some metallic stuff. For the metallic, I'm just getting this gunmetal gray. You can use any silver you have, it'll work. You don't need a whole bunch of this. So he's got some buckles on the back of his hands. And I'm going to do some little, just like little touch-up work around on his other parts to show where it may or may not be metal. I'm not going to fully color in this belt buckle ring. I'm just going to indicate that it's silver by brushing a line of silver along it and leaving the dark from the dry brush layers we left there with it. I'm going to do kind of a similar thing with the belt. I'm just going to hit parts of it. Alright. Then I'm going to come back to these swords. There's some little rings on the swords. I'm going to hit those. And then on the back of his boots there's a metal plate. And I'm not focusing on coloring that entire plate. I'm just going to drag my metallic around and hit some of it. There's a little bit of metal on the side of his boots. There's a buckle. There's some metal plates on the top of his boot. Okay. I'm going to get that one more time. And I'm going to do the edges of his sword blades. Even their stone. Just going to give the illusion that maybe if you grind this stone you'll come across some flint or maybe a metal or something. Then I'm going to dry that brush out. Not dry it out, I'm sorry, wash that brush out. And I'm going to get a black speed paint real quick and do his beard. Maybe black. Alright, you're probably thinking, oh, he's pretty much done. He looks a little plain. Yeah, he does look a little plain. There are some mushrooms on his base. So for these mushrooms, I'm going to get, where's my orange at? I'm going to get some orange and do one of them. I'm going to get orange on this one. I'm going to get red. Just a dibby dab of red. Oh, that's way too much red. Do this other one here. And then I'm going to hit one of these little rocks right here. Just because I thought there needed to be some kind of tie-in. I don't know why, I just did. And then that last little mushroom I'm going to do in purple. Okay, he's still looking a little plain. How do we fix that? Well, I'm not quite sure. Don't paint everything gray and brown to begin with, maybe? Who knows? Okay. So I'm going to get yellow. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, please hit like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon. Leave me comments. I like that. Nice comments are good. Any comments are great, I guess. Oh yeah, this yellow is going to do it right here. We're going to get this yellow and hit this loincloth with the yellow speed paint real quick. And that's going to create a whole new exciting color on our palette of the Orc Champion dude. And there's a little bit sticking out the back. I'm just going to drag that back there. And then we get that same yellow. Do the fur trim on his boots. So after that call to action stuff we just talked about, liking, subscribing, sharing, blah, 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 blah. Come to the website like we talked about, get some minis, and come to the Discord and hang out with us. Play some RPGs, play some video games, show us what you've been crafting. We're interested in all that. Really, we are. We have people on there that are carving spoons out of wood. We got people on there crocheting and doing this thing with wool that makes these little fuzzy things that are cool looking. I can't think of what it's called, but I love that. And there he is. Not bad. I didn't do the fur around the gauntlets, but I don't think it needed it. I decided not to. There is a metal plate on the front that I did miss. I'm just going to grab a little bit of silver. All right, cool. Pretty pleased. All right, I'm Doom. This has been Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and this is a Dungeon Swag Orc. The next entry in the monster manual is the Butt Sniffer. No, never mind. There's no entry called Butt Sniffer. It is Orc. And then, oh my gosh, the Odagua. Or Odiug, however you say it. My son and I pronounce it Odagua. It's his favorite creature. Oh my gosh, my oldest boy says the campaign is not complete till you see an Odagua. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.